Happy 4th of July. I'm Mike Nasa with the latest on the tropics. The tropics are starting to heat up a little bit off the southeastern coast, to say nothing of the devastating flooding in Texas that I'll touch on as well. Here's a look at the entire Atlantic. A water vapor image look. Our tropical depression is sitting right here off the southeast coast, and it's not looking very good this evening. However, it is expected to strengthen into a tropical storm and make landfall in South Carolina sometime by Sunday. And so that will bring some rainfall, gusty winds, and most importantly, very dangerous rip currents and surf. We have what was once Tropical Storm Barry that moved into Mexico. The remnants moved over Mexico and have kind of been meandering here, and that has contributed to devastating flooding over the state of Texas. And we've got some very sad news coming out of there, and we'll be talking about that as well. Here's the latest on our Tropical Depression 3 as of 11 p.m. Eastern Time from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. The Tropical Depression was at 30.6 north, 78.9 west, and that puts it about 255 miles away from Wilmington to the south-southwest, and about 150 or so miles southeast of Charleston. So it's still a good 150, 250 miles away from the coastline, and current motion is stationary. It hasn't moved much during the day on Friday, and it probably won't move much tonight. Winds 35 miles per hour. Once it hits 39 and above, it will become a tropical storm, and the name next on our list is Chantal. So this is expected to become a tropical storm named Chantal. I've tracked a lot of tropical storm Chantals. That name has been on the name list since 1983. In fact, since 1979, when they came out with the 6 rotating name lists, we've had Chantal in 83, 89, back in 1995. I tracked one in 2001 that we thought was going to be a big hurricane, didn't materialize. 2007, 2013, and then, of course, in 2019, we had a tropical storm Chantal. Here we are again. Now, this is expected to become a tropical storm, make landfall somewhere right around the middle of the coastline of South Carolina. We do have a tropical storm watch, Little River Inlet to Modesto Beach, and that will likely be upgraded to a tropical storm warning as time goes on. Again, it's pretty broad path here. It could be on the southern edge. It could be on the other side here, the eastern edge. It has nudged a little east, so if you're in North Carolina, you could see a landfall. Regardless, it should dissipate by the time Monday comes around, and we won't have to deal with it anymore. Here's the latest satellite imagery, and it doesn't look too healthy this evening. The center is somewhere right about here, and most of the thunderstorm activity is elongated and disheveled on the right side. It is undergoing some wind shear. In fact, if I show you on that map, look at the wind shear barbs here coming right over the top of it. That is very, very unfavorable for development. So the good news is, even though the water is warm, the upper level conditions are not good. And looking at this, there's a lot of dry air where you see these darker colors. Now, we're actually going to have an upper level feature here over the northeastern Gulf, and that's going to kind of push this thing northwest towards the coast, and then it's going to kind of loop up like that as it makes landfall. So again, it looks like it'll make landfall over South Carolina, potentially areas there. If you'd say it could make landfall anywhere, Myrtle Beach all the way to Bald Head Island, that could be the region there. But again, that's kind of irrelevant. When you're dealing with a weak, disheveled storm, it really doesn't matter the exact point of landfall as much as when you have a well-organized hurricane. The rainfall is going to be an issue. Over the next couple of days, we are going to have 2, 4, 6, 8 inches, but right now, most of that rain's offshore. And so you almost want it to make landfall further east because that keeps the right side away from land, and that's where the heaviest rainfall is. Nevertheless, flooding will become a threat, but not as threatening as the rip currents. This is the current United States rip current risk, and let me tell you, it is high, and high is not good. When you're dealing with high risk of rip currents, you are dealing with rip currents that could sweep you out and kill you. It is very, very dangerous. The entire South Carolina coastline and most of the North Carolina coast all the way up to the Outer Banks, very high, at the very least moderate, but very high rip currents. So, and remember, if you get caught in a rip current and it sweeps you out, let it take you out a little bit, and then try and swim parallel to the beach. Don't swim against it into the surf. You'll tire and you will drown. So the key messages for our depression: number one, tropical storm conditions are possible in that watch area starting tomorrow night, Saturday through Sunday morning. Secondly, as I mentioned, heavy rainfall across coastal Carolinas. That'll cause some flash flooding concerns between Saturday through Monday. And isolated to scattered flash flooding could occur in more urbanized areas along the coastal plain of the Carolinas. So even inland a little bit, you want to watch out. And finally, as mentioned, the system is expected to bring rough surf and rip currents to much of the southeastern U.S. and northeast Florida through the next couple of days. That is the biggest risk right now, I think, the very dangerous surf and rip currents along the coastline. Now, the rainfall in Texas, take a look at this. You can see there's our tropical depression sitting off the southeast coast. Look at this blob of convection over Texas. Watch it as I go backwards. Watch where it originates. It originated a few days ago right there as Tropical Storm Barry. Barry was a very weak, very short-lived tropical storm. It was run-of-the-mill. They spin up all the time right down here in the Bay of Campeche, hit Mexico. But watch what happens as it makes a turn like that right into Texas. Watch this loop here. I'm going to put it into motion. That moisture sticks around over Mexico, over Texas, and the interactions, look at that. Look at that convection over Texas. That was the devastating flooding rains, and it has been bad. We have a flood warning out for areas here in the areas near San Angelo and to Kylene, Texas, flood warnings, and that's between areas there of Fort Worth and San Antonio and Abilene. You guys are just getting pounded with heavy rainfall. Hopefully it'll let up a little bit, but as of now we still have flood warnings in this region. So again, any water you want to stay away from. Has been very, very devastating. We have 24 people confirmed missing from a Christian camp. Little kids, 23 little girls are missing. The river, the Guadalupe River in Kure County, it washed away the entire cabin and buildings at that Camp Mystic. And that's a San Antonio suburb of Hunt. And the water, they say, rose more than 20 feet in just 90 minutes. And the last time we saw that kind of flooding was back in 1987. And these poor little kids, they were not around in 1987, and hopefully they were evacuated, because right now it does not look good for that area down there. So everybody's watching very, very carefully to see what goes on. But right now, if you are in that area of Texas, anywhere, stay away from water and make sure you stay tuned for the latest, because the rainfall, while it may not be as heavy as it was, it has still not let up yet, and these flood warnings keep popping up here in areas of Texas. So again, here near Austin, you guys are still getting rain all the way down to San Antonio, a lot of rainfall. And again, all of this, I guess you can say, is in some association with our former tropical storm Barry, a very forgettable, short-lived storm. I didn't even have an opportunity to do a video on it. It was there and gone. And it's interacted with enough weather features to become a rain event there. So that is not good news at all. Now, in contrast, the radar imagery for our tropical depression off the east coast is not that impressive at all. Although we do see some rotation there, I'm not seeing anything to be concerned with as far as like a developing tropical storm yet. It looks pretty ill-organized. But again, we should see it organized enough to become a tropical storm and head in the general direction between Charleston and Wilmington over the next day or two. So we will watch it very carefully. I'm Mike Naso with the latest on the tropics, our tropical depression off the East Coast, and the devastating flooding in Texas. I'll talk to you next time.